اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد. خل المقادير تمضي لا تغالبها، فإن من غالب الأقدار مغلوب. إن القضاء لسيف لا يقاومه شيء من الخلق إلا وهو محبوب. وامشي رويدا مع الأقدار في مهل، فإن من يكره الأقدار متعوب. سلم وفوض لحكم الله محتسبا، فإنما الأمر مقضي ومكتوب. والله يقضي بما شاء وكيف يشاء، والعبد عبد ومخلوق ومربوب. ولم يزل ربه الرحمن يكلأه، باللطف والحفظ محفوف ومصحوب. حسن ظنونك بالرب الكريم، ولا تسيء ظنا فتبقى عنه محجوب. واعمل لنفسك أعمالا تسر بها، فكل ما يفعل الإنسان محسوب.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Alhamdulillah, we praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this opportunity to continue with our lesson in the book of Nur Idah, in the Fiqh of Imam Abu Hanifa. And we pray that Allah bless us in this blessed day, that is the 14th of Sha'ban. Tonight we will entering into Nisfu Sha'ban. And these are times anywhere, prayers are answered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we always take this chance and opportunity for us to make dua to Allah. Then Allah open for us the doors of understanding and bless us with iman and taqwa, and protect us from all difficulties, trials and tribulations in dunya and akhirah. Ameen Ya Rabbal Alameen. So now we will enter straight into our book, and from where we are in our last lesson, we are still in the chapter of Tayammum. So the author now is speaking about what are the prayers that we can do when it comes to Tayammum. So before that we spoke about the conditions on looking for water, finding water for those who doesn't have water, and the conditions on using any water that is found, and whether it is permissible to do Tayammum on certain conditions or not permissible. Now we have come to the part where the author mentioned ma yusalla bitayammum. What are the prayers that can be performed by tayammum? So he said wa yusalli bitayammumil wahidi ma sha'a minal fara'idi wan nawafil. So we can perform with one tayammum how many prayers we want from the fara'id and nawafil, the obligatory prayers and also the sunnah prayers. So basically what the author is saying, that if you perform any tayammum, it is not any specific to one fard prayer. Yani you can perform one tayammum even with two fard prayers. So for example, if a person performs the Zuhur prayers with tayammum, and then he waits until Asr, and then when Asr comes, he performs the Asr prayers with the same tayammum. In the madhab Imam Abu Hanifa, this is permissible. But of course, we study in Fiqh Shafi'i, this is not permissible, because in the Fiqh of Shafi'i, we mentioned that one tayammum is for one fard. But here is one of the main differences between the Hanafi and the Shafi'i with regards to performing the fard prayers with one tayammum. So in the Hanafi and the madhab, they do not differentiate between what is fard and what is nawafil. And we can perform the fard prayers as many as we want, we can perform the sunnah prayers as many as we want. And it is not also compulsory in the fiqh of Hanafi. Then we perform the tayammum during the time of prayer. Meaning, if Zohar is 1 p.m., we do tayammum at 1 plus. Not necessary in the fiqh Hanafi that you can perform any tayammum even before the timing. So if Zohar is 1 p.m., you can perform tayammum at 12 o'clock, for example. So when the time of Zohar comes, you can perform the Zohar prayers. Now, so when comes any to performing any tayammum, it is not obligatory to perform tayammum before the timing of prayer, and one tayammum can be performed as many fard any as we want, or nafil any as we want. So this what the author is mentioning in the first sentence. وَصَحَ تَقْدِيمُهُ عَلَى الْوَقْتِ. This is what I mentioned also, that we can perform tayammum before the timing in your prayer. So as what I mentioned earlier, the example, and if Zohar is 1 p.m., you can perform any tayammum at 12 p.m. The condition is that you do not do anything that breaks the tayammum. You do not do anything that breaks the tayammum, and this is also going to be mentioned where the author speaks, and it is the same as the nullification of wudu. Whatever that nullifies the wudu nullifies tayammum. So this is a qa'idah, principle. Whatever that nullifies ablution nullifies tayammum. But there are other things that nullify any tayammum which does not nullify any ablution, which will also be mentioned after this. And then the next part, the author speaks about those who are having injury. Those who are having injury, like bandage. So he said tayammumul jarih. So how is the tayammum for jarih? Jarih meaning a person who is injured. So there are possibilities when we say a person who is injured, whether the parts of wudu there is bandage, or the parts of wudu there is injury like blood, or the parts of wudu there is this acne, diseases of the skin, and for example that water cannot be touched. So these are the examples where a person has water but he cannot use any of the water due to an ailment, due to a sickness. So how many does he do tayammum? So he said, number one, walau kana aksarul badani aw nisfuhu jarihan tayammama. So we have to look at the situation of this person. If most part of the body is injured, if most part of the body or half of the body is injured, meaning we are speaking about serious injury, most part of the body or half part of the body is injured. In this situation, it is permissible for him to do tayammum, not to take ablution. It is permissible for him to do tayammum. What is the condition? Is that either we say most part of the body is injured or half of is injured. Number two, wa in kana aksaruhu sahihan. If you take the opposite, most part of the body is not injured, meaning is healthy, sahih. Ghasalahu wa masahal jarih. Now it is not permissible for him to do tayammum. So in the Hanafi madhab, we look at the intensity of the injury. If the injury covers most part of the body, then we do tayammum. If the injury does not cover most part of the body, then we perform the wudu. And then when we perform the wudu and we perform the bathing, for example, do we perform tayammum on the parts where the water cannot reach? Here the author is saying it is not compulsory to do that. What is compulsory is wa masahal jarih. So let me give you an example. If a person, for example, he has bandage on his left hand, So in this situation, we say it is compulsory upon him to take wudu, not tayammum. Because why? Most parts of the body are healthy. Only a small part of the body is facing injury. So in this situation, he has to take ablution. So when he takes any ablution and he washes his face, he washes his right hand, which there is no bandage. And what he does, with the left hand, he just wipe it with water. Masahal jari. This is what the author meant. He wipes it with water, and then he continues wiping of the head and washing of the feet. There is no tayammum. There is no tayammum. When there is wudu, there is no tayammum. When there is wudu, there is no tayammum. When there is tayammum, there is no wudu. In the Hanafi mazhab, we do not combine wudu and tayammum, and this again differs in the Mazhab Shafi. Mazhab Shafi, Muqaddimah Hadramiyah and other books that we study, that whenever we have a bandage, we have to combine between wudu and tayammum. We wash the parts that we can wash in ablution, and when comes to the bandage, we perform dry ablution, and then we continue for ablution. So we combine wudu and tayammum. But here in the Hanafi madhab, if we are speaking about tayammum, this is the condition where earlier we mentioned that most part of the body is having an ailment. Then only he does any tayammum. But if some parts only ailment, then it is wajib upon him to perform the wudu. But when comes to the part where there is a bandage, he just wipe it off. He just wipe off with water. This meaning when he said, wa in kana aksaruhu sahihan ghasalahu. If most parts of the body is sahih, then he has to wash, yani take wudu or bathe the obligatory bath. But what happens to the part where there is any ailment? Wa masaha, yani he takes any water and he wipes on top any of al-jarih, yani the injury, or on top any of the bandage where water cannot reach, by washing. Wala yajma'u bainal ghusli wa tayammum, and this is a qa'idah in the Hanafi madhab. Wala yajma'u bainal ghusli wa tayammum. So we do not combine between washing and tayammum. So if it is tayammum, tayammum only. If it is washing, washing only. There is no such thing as take wudu and tayammum. No such thing. Either we say he does tayammum or he wash his body parts of wudu and bathe the obligatory bath. If not, and he only does any tayammum, he does not combine between wudu and tayammum. Afwan, just there's something on the mic. No. Okay, so this is what we mentioned, that we can perform many tayammum, one tayammum, as many as farq prayers and sunnah prayers, any as we want. And it is permissible also to perform any tayammum before the timing of prayer. And then we speak about tayammumul jarih, that if a person is facing a bandage or injury, then it is permissible for him to do tayammum if the injury is more than half of the body. If not, he has to wash, and when he wash, he do not combine washing and tayammum. So this is basically what the author is saying. Then the author speaks about nawaqidu tayammum, the things that nullify dry ablution, tayammum. Then he mentioned wayanquduhu naqidul wudu. So this is a principle as what I mentioned earlier, that everything that invalidates the ablution invalidates tayammum. So in ablution, for example, anything that comes out from the private parts invalidates the ablution. Likewise, it invalidates the tayammum. So everything that invalidates any ablution, which we mentioned before this, it invalidates the tayammum. Number 2, he said wayanquduhu zawalul uzri. This is the thing about tayammum which is not present in the ablution. Anything then becomes the reason for the concession of tayammum. If it is not present, then the tayammum becomes invalid. If it is not present, then the tayammum becomes invalid. For example, if a person is doing tayammum in a place where there is no water, and then after he performs the tayammum, the water came. The water came. So now when we say initially he does any tayammum because there is no water, but now there is water. So now it is compulsory upon him to use water. So what happens to the tayammum? The tayammum becomes invalidated. Why? Because the concession of tayammum has disappeared by the existence of water. Likewise, if a person, for example, he became well, he took out his bandage, and water he can reach his body parts. In this situation, it is not permissible for him to do tayammum. So if he does any tayammum, the tayammum becomes invalidated. Why? Because the concession of tayammum has disappeared. So he said وَيُنْقِضُهُ زَوَالُ الْعُذْرِ. If the concession, if the uzr, the excuse is disappears, then it is not permissible to do tayammum because it has been invalidated. وَالْقُدْرَةُ عَلَى اسْتِعْمَالِ الْمَاءِ الْكَافِي, and the ability to use water, enough water for ablution, then tayammum is not valid, because now you have any water that suffices you to do any ablution. Likewise, he said وَمَقْطُوعُ الْيَدَيْنِ وَرِجْلَيْنِ إِذَا كَانَ بِوَجْهِ جَرَحًا. Now the author gives an example. May Allah protect us from this situation, where if a person, both of the hands are cut off, both of the legs are cut off, and the face has an injury. So in this situation, yusalli bi ghayri taharatin wala yu'in. So he performs the prayers without the need to take any ablution, and it is not compulsory upon him to make up for the prayer. Why? Because this is exceptional situation. A person who got no hands, no legs, and the face there is injury. So now he is unable to wash himself, And likewise, the face has an injury where water and it cannot reach. So in this any situation, and if we say ablution and it's not compulsory any upon him, yusalli bi ghairi tahara. Yani he prays without the need to take any ablution, and there is no need any for him any to make up any for the prayer, because this is an extreme any situation where a person any is unable to perform ablution or to bathe any the obligatory bath due to the situation any that he is in, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives him any for that. And this is an exceptional any situation where a person any prays without any wudu, and it is not any compulsory any upon him any to make up any for the prayer. Wallahu alam any bisawab. In the next any chapter we will speak any about Bab al-Mashi ala al-Khufain. This is any on wiping any of the khuf. Inshallah we will speak any about this any in our next lesson inshallah ta'ala. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali sayyidina Muhammad. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله.
كان خيرا فخير سوف يحصل، أو كان شرا فتنكيل وتعذيب. يا ويل من ضيع الأعمار في زلل، وكل من كسبه الآثام والحوب. واطلب علوما مع اقبال مع عمل، فأنت بالعلم والأعمال مطلوب.